Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, you came here to testify about financial stability and threats to financial stability. I think what we're learning from this hearing, Mr. Secretary, is how much Trump derangement syndrome is a threat to emotional stability. There's been a lot of lectures directed at you today. Would you like to clarify anything or respond in any way to any of these lectures?
I would just like to say that financial stability analysis centered on identifying vulnerabilities in financial institutions or markets that might disrupt the provision of credit or liquidity, disrupt other sectors, and lead to significant losses across the financial stability. This is what FSOC is chartered to do.
Thank you. Secretary Bessent, I'd like to applaud President Trump and the Treasury Department for announcing Trump accounts. I do believe this will kickstart the American dream for children born between 2025 and 2028 with a $1,000 investment from the U.S. Treasury. And I'm personally grateful because my daughter, Virginia, was born in October and will be a beneficiary of these Trump accounts. Not only will this ensure that American children born in this time frame will participate in the deepest, most liquid capital markets in the world, but it importantly will also teach this new generation about the power of compound interest and will help them develop financial literacy skills which will make them owners and investors and will improve their financial outcomes throughout their lives. Can you touch on the impact of these Trump accounts and how it will help this new generation achieve financial independence? And as you talk about that, you know, we have a mayor of New York that espouses socialism, members of Congress who espouse socialism. How will these Trump accounts impact this new generation of Americans' view of financial independence versus socialism?
Again, history would show that people who own a piece of the action do not want to bring down the system when you are part of the system. As I said, 38% of American households, they do not participate in the equity market. Many do, many directly, many through 401ks. But over time, the goal here should be to have everyone own a piece of the American economic engine. We at Treasury, working with many people, are going to work on financial literacy. This will be one of the greatest real-time experiments in history. You are bringing Wall Street to Main Street, and Wall Street will work for Main Street instead of the other way around.
Well, on behalf of my 3-month-old daughter, Virginia, and millions of American children, thank you to you and President Trump for bringing financial independence to the American people. I agree with you that economic stagnation is itself a threat to financial stability. That's why we're pushing this Main Street Access to Capital bill, which will provide for more de novo charters of community banks, the TIER Act, the Community Bank Regulatory Tailoring Act, which would modernize these statutory thresholds to remove the static nature of the thresholds and allow for more diversity and growth in financial institutions. Can you discuss how indexing these static regulatory thresholds will allow banks of all sizes to grow and how that will in turn help financial stability?
Yep. So, Congressman, I've said very often that under the regulatory straitjacket that emerged that pushed lending outside the traditional banking system, small banks became too small to succeed. And I think we have to fix that and tailor it to the risk for people who know their communities, who are concentrated geographically. And if you were in Iowa, you were concentrated in farming. If you were in Florida, you were likely concentrated in real estate and tourism, and we need to make adjustments.
And that will promote diversity in the financial system, which in turn will help with financial stability. Final question, Secretary Bessent. At the end of last year, President Trump signed into law the NDAA, which included my legislation, which will be overseen by the Treasury Department, the Comprehensive Outbound Investment National Security Act, also known as the Fight China Act. The COINS Act will ensure that Americans are not unknowingly funding the military-industrial complex of our adversaries by codifying and enhancing the Trump administration's existing outbound investment security program. Can you discuss the Treasury Department's new obligations under this bill, and how do you intend to implement it to prevent capital flows into Chinese military-industrial complex companies?
Well, I want to thank you for this important piece of legislation. It is another arrow in our quiver, and I can tell you, as I am the lead negotiator, the with China on the economic front, it is very useful for me to be able to say, well, I'm happy to refer things to the Hill.
Gentleman's time has expired.